All right, welcome in. Let's go ahead and talk about our topic of the day. I don't remember if I did yesterday or not. Welcome in. I'm so grateful that you guys are here. I'm waiting for this to load so I can remember what the topic of the day is. I cannot remember if I went live yesterday or not, but that is okay. Wrong thing. So let's see where we're at. Hi, welcome in. Thank you for being here. I am finding my topic of the day. Ooh, love this topic. I surprised myself. I don't remember if I was here yesterday or not. I don't remember talking about decisive leadership. So I am going to be talking about this topic. So for those of you that are here, for those of you that are joining, we are talking about what decisive leadership is, what decisive leadership means, and what that means for you in your own life, okay? Leadership, hi Branzy, welcome in. Leadership happens regardless of what we think about ourselves, okay? Either you are leading yourself well or you are not leading yourself well. The thing is all of these topics relate to every single area of our life. And this is why I created the Unity Matrix, is because all 9 domains inside of the Unity Matrix show up regardless of how evolved we are, how successful we are, all of that. So decisive leadership, all the way down to you're a middle schooler leading yourself in the ways that you can, all the way up to the billionaire guys, all right? So decisive leadership in your own personal life shows up directly in every other area of your life, whether you want to believe it or not. And when I created the 9 domains, am I hiring? Reach out to me. Reach out to me and I will see if I have a position available that would be beneficial or mutually beneficial. I'm not currently. I don't think that I'm currently in a position to hire. However, if there is, I do have a few things that I could utilize. So if you want to go ahead and reach out to me about a potential position, then we could talk about it. So when we talk about decisive leadership, no. When we talk about decisive leadership, we have to look at the decisions that we are currently making inside of our own life, okay? These decisions have the ability to make our life easier, and these decisions have the ability to make our life more difficult. When we make decisions that make our own life more difficult, every other area in our life begins to collapse. Thank you for the rose. When every other area in our life begins to collapse, we see this within the work that we produce, we see this within our relationships, we see this in many, many areas. So most oftentimes when somebody is a high-level leader, we only see some distortion or struggle within a few domains. We don't see them across the board. Most oftentimes, it is very difficult to be a high-level leader and struggle in every single area or domain. Now, I've seen it happen. I have, but it doesn't happen often. So what does it look like for you to be a decisive leader? The reality is no decision is a decision. And no decision leads to complacency, it leads to hardship, it leads to frustration, it leads to a lot of messes and a lot of piles. So indecision really is about avoidance. Indecision is really about not making the decisions that are required for your future and for your growth. And oftentimes indecision is based off of paralysis or even fear or trying to hold on to something that you have no control over. Thank you to Wai Swang. I think I said your name correctly. So far with everything that I've just said, what feedback do you guys have to give me? So far with what I've said about decisions, making decisive decisions, fast decisions, what does that look like to you? What does decisive leadership so far with everything that we've just said, what does that mean to you? All right. We have people that are not entertaining the exact conversation. So if you are not in here for this conversation, I'm going to kindly ask you to leave, because there are people in here that are specifically here for gaining value. Awesome. I appreciate you for sending me that message. I will get back to you. I don't know if you can send, hold up, I got foodies cooking. I don't know if you're capable of sending me a resume or not on TikTok, but if you could give me a brief description about your background and the things that you've done, GF Trades, that would help me understand if you would be the right fit for the company, and also maybe what position I could create or open up for you. So, decisive leadership is the ability to make decisions that are objective. So, objective decisions are generally not the easiest thing to make, especially if we haven't done the proper or the significant amount of work that is required of us to grow. I am going to tell you, since being by myself for the time that I have, it's been a few years now, I can tell you right now, faith is not a tool, by the way. Will you just text me, because I don't want everyone in this chat to have my email address. I only want serious people. If you go to my website, that's linked in my bio. My email will be in there if you would like to put that effort in. That's what I would recommend. I don't want to just say my email here and then all of these random people that do not have anything worth of value emailing me, because then it's going to waste a ton of my time, and I'm not going to do that. So Maverick says faith is substance. So faith is the exact same thing as trust. And faith is not a tool. Faith is a value until you can actually create a standard inside of it. A lot of people like to preach faith and they don't actually even live by it. So with faith, I don't disagree with faith, but I think that people like to talk a lot about faith and they don't actually have the thing to back it. They don't actually live their life in a way that actually backs it. People like to sound good, but they don't like to be good. And that's a real one. When I can drink coffee, I am a coffee person. However, I eat an alkaline diet now, so I cannot drink coffee. Okay, yeah. Just email, yeah. I appreciate you for understanding, but that would be the best way to go about that. We are not a product of our upbringing. Hell no, that is a lie. We are a product of what we choose to do with the tools that we've been given. And just because some things are not your fault does not mean that you don't not take ownership over the things that happen to you. Sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not the guy that will ever tell us that we're products of our environment. All right, that's fair to say, Maverick. You're super fair. And so, Maverick, what I want to note on really fast is with social media, The only thing that I can do is hear your brain. I can only hear your thoughts. So with social media, I cannot feel or discern your emotions on the other side of here, which is a really big part of human connection. So forgive me for not understanding exactly where you're coming from, because a lot of that understanding comes from me being able to see you and hear you and feel how you feel. So I definitely didn't want to shame you. I definitely didn't want to make you feel like I wasn't hearing you or understanding you. But on my end, I can't feel your feelings and I can't see you. So it is a little bit difficult. So with that, with the fact that you haven't been given the tools, my next question for you is, what tools do you feel like you need? What tools do you feel like you haven't been given? Because we all have things that we've learned. We all have things that we have grown into. We all have things that we've been brought up inside that maybe are accurate to us and maybe not. So really, the tools that you're looking for your own development depend completely on what tools you feel like you need. You know that better than anyone. I have a pan out that does not have a lid. That sucks. Is it normal to be socially detached from people when you are super stressed at work? So I would say so. I would say that it's normal to be detached from people. I think detachment theory is something that a lot of people are practicing now. I wouldn't say that it's healthy, but I would say that that's a normal coping mechanism for the stress that you're under. So do you want to work on not being detached from people when you're at work, or are you just curious if it was something that was normal to experience? Okay. I'm trying to think, what would the most beautiful country be? Ireland. Ireland is supposed to be very beautiful. India. Everywhere's beautiful. Everywhere has beauty. Of course, I'm not going to be able to guess. So Maverick says, the ability to be in touch with the world outside of my own world. So this is actually a really easy tool. And the reality is reality. The reality around you is truly just a reflection of your own internal world. So to be in touch with the world around you, it would just require that you utilize the outside world for feedback to enhance your inner world more. And that might be something that you're already doing. But to be in touch with the outside world, does that mean that you gain connections? Does that mean that you find belonging somewhere? Does that mean that you hear and understand people better? Does that mean that you engage and become more present? So really, all of those things come down to a simple answer, which isn't really simple to practice, but the simple answer would be, how can I begin to engage with the outside world? What does my inside world bring to the outside world, and how can I bring the outside world back to me? And that was a little bit philosophical, and I wasn't expecting it to go there. But if you think about how you relate to the outside world and the feedback that you're getting, I want you to know something. The universe always provides accurate reflections, no matter how different people are from you. So I want to share a little bit of a story of an experience. Okay. So the environment that I live in, for example, people tend to be a little bit more slothish. Most people are not hardworking. Most people are not forward moving in momentum. Now, a lot of people are, but when the mass majority exist inside of that, it is very difficult to find and see accurate reflections. So in time, more and more people will come to you to give you that accurate reflection. So I think that that's where you were headed with that. I can't totally tell. Is there a spider? Listen, I love spiders. I invite spiders into my home. You aren't going to be able to trick me with that one. I'm sorry. Actually, in here, to show you this really cool thing, because apparently people on TikTok Live like to know what people are about and what people have in their life. So yeah, there is a spider to my left on the wall. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. I really appreciate it. Was that helpful for you? I hope that was helpful. You said that was an amazing answer, so I'm guessing, I'm going to take a wild guess that was helpful. Good. Good. Thank you. When I lived in... I turned off my stove. Of course, nothing's cooking. Hello, welcome in from Brazil. Wow, you're from Gaza. Very interesting. Hi. Thank you for being here. Why would you join a live if you don't want someone to talk? Make that one make sense. What are you talking about? Like, if you want to go watch pretty girls sit there and look at the camera, that's fine. But I'm going to run my mouth because I'm smart, okay? Jeez. Doesn't make any sense. Like, who goes on a live just to watch someone sit there and stare off? Like, sorry, not going to be me. So the next question that I have for you guys is, when we are talking about internal dominion and decisive leadership, how often are you giving your power away because you're not making decisions, or you're not making decisions that are right? Right? I'm glad you're having a good steak. I'm jelly. I'm so jealous. Oh my God, did I just say jelly? That is not something that would ever come into my mouth ever. So that's new. I would never say that in real life. Where did that even come from? But I am definitely a little bit envious over your steak. I'm stubborn and I feel, so this person says, I'm stubborn and I feel like someone else is trying to make them for me. That's a good conversation to have, Maverick, on autonomy. So when you feel like someone else is trying to make decisions for you, and this is no offense, but the reality is you are lacking the ability to make decisions and lead in a way that other people trust you. And that's rooted in you not trusting yourself. That's rooted in you not actually feeling like you can make that decision because of something that happened in your childhood, because of something that you experienced, because of whatever that is. And being stubborn and being bullheaded is also preventing you from making a decision because you think it has to be done a certain way. I'm stubborn. I am stubborn as all hell. And nobody can tell me anything. If somebody people give me reflections in a way that no one would ever understand or get. So like, and this is just an example because you're stubborn and I'm also stubborn. This is something to look for. So today we are on a video call. And I was used as an example just to be funny. It was just a funny thing, but he called me all of the fucking way out. And I don't know if he looked at my social media or did research on me first to say that. Or if it was just a funny, this is not how we do this here. And maybe it was both. But he called me out specifically about, there was this thing that I did. And there was a potential for an acting position doing something. And basically what I said inside of this video that I made was, why not just quit your job? Because you're going to fucking die anyway. They're going to scrape you up. They're going to throw you off the fucking da-da-da-da-da. And I took it there. I made people feel horrible in this video. And this guy says, what did he say to me? What did he say? He said, it's not a no good normal human being would, during a sales call, would say the most horrible thing, right? Nobody would say, if you're going on vacation, that you need this thing because you're gonna die. You're gonna die. You might die there and you might need it, that's not how you make a sale. And I'm the guy that's just honest. I'm just blunt, straight out of my mouth. And so nobody was going to tell me that that was something that I needed to improve on. Nobody was going to tell me that I pressure too much. Nobody was going to tell me that I reel it in too hard. No one was going to do that. but a reflection. So when you're stubborn, in order to actually be able to grow and actually be able to take feedback, is be always looking for that area to improve. So when you're looking for outside feedback and always trusting that something is going to come in to teach you something, it'll be little moments like that where it's just funny and they're making an example and they just happen to utilize me as an example, and they didn't have to use me as an example for me to have picked up on that, but they did, and it was hilarious in the moment. And then I'm sitting there like, oh shit, I fucking do that because it's true. So when you're stubborn, right, you have to learn how to utilize the reflections and the feedback that you get accurately around you. You have to be able to do that. And it's not easy. It's not easy, but that's the thing. So the other thing is this. When somebody else is making decisions for you, you rebel. Exactly. Okay, I got you. So when somebody is making decisions for you, or you feel like other people are trying to make decisions for you, there is something more that you have to offer. I want to mention this too before I go down in the comments. Yes, I hear you guys, and trust that I'm going to get to your comments. Don't leave. I will get to you. I promise. So the other part of this that I want to talk about is when people are pushing you or they're trying to lead you into their path, that's because you're not solidified enough in your own to have other people come to you. That's what it is. So find your path, figure out exactly what that is, and people will start coming to support you instead of them trying to make decisions to pull you into their direction. Because based off of what I'm hearing from you, you are a high value person to some degree. Everyone is. But you are somebody that has the ability to offer something to the world, just based off of me hearing you. You have something that you can offer the world. And you will either offer other people opportunities and they will come to you to support your path, or you will help somebody else grow their opportunities. Those are the two possibilities for the most part. So if you are feeling like you are not making the decisions that you need, or other people are making decisions for you, it's because you are not in the position right now where you are to bring people in to your path. So that's the thing that will solve that problem. Dua says, sometimes I feel paralyzed. Feel paralyzed. The only way to get out of that paralysis and that freeze mode is to allow it to ride out until it's not needed anymore. And so this is a little bit of a tricky one with freeze, because most of the time people want to outwork it. That was something that I did. I would rather outwork my nervous system than live to it or listen to it, which is not the best move. So with paralysis and a freeze response is what that is inside of the nervous system. What you do is with freeze specifically, you lean into freeze. You don't override freeze. You don't tell freeze that it needs to shut up. You don't outwork it. That's not the way. It only prolongs and it only forces you to suffer longer. It causes you to get burnt out, whatever that looks like. So with paralysis, this is a somatic method that I recommend. But also, this is just a method without even calling it somatics, is let yourself feel paralyzed. Go into being paralyzed. Listen to that paralysis. Feel that paralysis. If you can't move and can't get out of bed, don't move. Don't get out of bed. Let it be there. Enjoy it. Let it ride itself out. Likely you need a lot of rest. Likely you need a lot of sleep. Likely you need to rejuvenate. So with that paralysis feeling that you're going through, the only thing that you can do is allow it to be there. The somatic exercise that I recommend, I really don't know how to cook anymore. I used to be a bomb cook, and now I burn everything. Nothing tastes good. I really don't know what I'm doing. Like, look at my lentils. This is what I did to my lentils. Like, what even? So the somatic exercise that I recommend for paralysis is tightening and releasing. So what that looks like is you tighten and you squeeze really, really hard, and you let that come through your entire body. You hold it, and then you ask your body if you can release it. So this is building neural pathways to talk to yourself. So when you're feeling paralyzed, literally, like, go coffin mode, feel paralyzed, let yourself be there, and then ask your body, hey body, Is it okay if we move? Hey body, is it okay if we start moving? Hey body, is it okay if I move my arm out? Hey body, is it okay if I expand? Is it safe for me to expand? That's the biggest question. Hey body, is it safe for me to move forward now? Hey body, is it safe for me to pull my arms out? Hey body, is this gonna be okay if we do this? And then test it. Your body's gonna tell you no. Okay, no worries. I will. And when your body tells you no and you can't do it, just say, okay, body, I understand. Thank you. Thank you for telling me no. I'm going to listen to you. By you doing that over and over and over again, eventually your body is going to catch up and realize that it's safe to be paralyzed. It's safe now. You don't have to be paralyzed. But with that, it is so difficult to move through that, right? It is so difficult to go through that. In fact, I actually went through paralysis over the last few months because of my own experiences and things that I had to work through. And I was doing this every day to be able to work through it. So it's not easy to come out of freeze mode. It is a very, very deep-rooted trauma response that you're experiencing. Sometimes I think hedonism has played a role in this. But with that, I hope that that's helpful. You just gotta listen to your body until your body finally releases you of it. I am really sorry that you're going through what you are going through, Ahmed. I can't do anything about that, and I don't know what the legalities here on TikTok would be to be able to help you with that. So I'm really sorry, but that's not something that I can do. But if anybody would like to support you, there's a whole group of people in here that I'm sure saw your message, and I'm sure somebody might reach out to you. However, I'm going to be a really hard mom right now, and a really hard mentor, a really hard parent, a guide, or whatever. I'm sorry that you're going through something, but you need to get up and go do something about it. I don't know where you live. I don't know what your circumstances are, but there are things that you can absolutely do to get your life better. And I say that being somebody that was almost homeless 2 years ago and has rebuilt my life back over and over and over again. So there are things that you can do. You're not alone. But being a hard parent, you're going to have to figure that shit out yourself. If people constantly hand things to you, then you're not going to be able to learn that lesson, and things are just going to be too easy. You're too comfortable if you are asking for financial assistance. And I'm sorry that you're going through what you're going through. But that's my advice, is if people hand you things and they make it too easy for you, then you never grow. And I can't be the person that allows that to happen in your life or in anyone's life. So if you would like help figuring out how to go make money, or if you would like help to figure out what financial assistance looks like in the place that you live, that's something that I will do. But I can't condone or have you exercise asking for handouts. Like, that's just not something that I agree with. The hard part for AC hiking thoughts is after a meeting or interaction, I overthink afterwards. Oh yeah, that one's a real one. The overthinking is no joke. So this is one that a lot of people like to overwrite with meditation. A lot of people like to overwrite with frequency. A lot of people like to overwrite by thinking something else. We don't overwrite in this corner. If you overthink something afterwards, usually it's because you felt incompetent or you felt insecure. You felt like you didn't have a place there. So that could be number one. Number two, if you're overthinking after something, chances are you're in the wrong room. Chances are you're around the wrong group of people and your nervous system is screaming for you to get out of there. So if you have a meeting or an interaction, ask yourself if the people are truly in alignment with you. Do they have the same skill sets? Do they believe the same things? Do they believe or have the same morals? Do they have the same standards? Okay? If the answer is no, you're going to overthink and you're going to push yourself into oblivion. I have a high feeling that if you are here and in this chat, you are not somebody that is not operating, right? I don't attract people that don't operate, that don't do well, right? I just don't. And granted, we are all on our journeys and I'm fully accepting of everyone. chances are, AC hiking, you are not in the right rooms, you are not with the right people, and the conversations that you are having are draining you. Ask yourself, are those conversations or those interactions, was there gossip involved? Was there anything involved in those things in those conversations that said, that went against your morals? Were there anything in those meetings that were not truly you? Because if they were, you are going to overthink into oblivion because it's outside of what you truly believe. It's outside of your morals. It's outside of the narratives that you believe for yourself. And it's going to leave you feeling like absolute shit because everyone else around you thinks that stuff's normal when it's not. So I have a high feeling that that's what that is. But if you're overthinking because of the environment being business or being something that you're not comfortable with, then ask for feedback. So if the environment that you're in is making you uncomfortable because you're growing in that environment, just ask the people around you on how you can get better. Ask them for feedback. That every time will reduce the overthinking because you're knowing exactly what people are thinking about you. Thank you, Sammy. Maverick says, I'll cook for you. Let me stay the mentor. How about that? I don't have an opinion about the World Cup because I don't do the World Cup. I have one wish right now. I'm gonna tell you to go take a dime and throw it in a well, okay? User, just ask the question and I will get to it when I absolutely can. Maverick says, the truth is, it's sad, but being a man, no one really gives a shit what we go through. Okay, I'm gonna take the gender bias out of it, and I'm not one of those weird gender people or whatever. And if that was offensive for you, I'm sorry, but I'm not somebody that believes in the whole gender thing. We have, Judaism recognizes 8 genders, blah, 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 okay? I'm accepting of everything, but I'm not going to put gender on it because men and women both experience this. And I think by focusing it directly on men, the women that also experience this would not be able to be impacted, or any other gender or whatever that is. So the reality is no one, regardless of who you are, gives a shit what you went through. They just don't. The only reason that someone will ever give a shit about what you go through is because you're impacting them because of your story. Or you are a mass manipulator because of the things that you've been through and everyone feels sorry for you. Those are the only 2 people that anyone ever gives a shit about what they go through. So I am sorry that you're going through that, and I know that it's really, really frustrating, and I know that it's sad to have to carry all of that weight on your own back. Truth is, it's our own accountability and our own ownership over the things that we've gone through. So where I'm gonna lead this to is you have to care about yourself. You have to care about what you've been through. You have to care about who you are. You have to care about where you are headed. Okay? There is a very, very, very small population on Earth that says, I will be there for anyone and everyone regardless. Okay? Very, very small population. And those people are often caring about everyone regardless because of how it makes them feel and not actually the good deed that they're doing. So that is my advice on that one. Is care about yourself. Take that ownership and that pride over yourself to say, I care about me. I care about what I went through. I know everything about me and my life and my story, and I know how deserving I am to move through that. That's the approach that I would like people to take. Because there's a quote from, I believe it's Carl Jung, and he says, when we are somebody that is in solitude, or nobody is actually there to support us, the only bet that we can have is somebody will be there to support us along the way, and we will eventually gain allies. That's the approach. That's an approach that I take. A few days ago on here, I said, somebody asked me if I had true support in my life, and here was my answer. I have a table set up for the people I have not met yet. That's the approach that has to be in your mind. is people right now don't care, but people are coming into your life at any moment ready to care about you. But you have to care about you first. So that is my response to that. The fairy says, I can't feel confident. You can feel confident. You are reiterating right now that you are not confident. So you are confident. You have the capability of feeling confident. I'm sorry something happened to you that makes you feel like you're not confident. Stop iterating to yourself that you cannot do something. The more that you iterate that to yourself, the more likely you will not feel confident. The thing, and Natalie Dawson talks about this a lot, so does Laila Hormanzi, but what they say, and I agree with this, is confidence goes directly with competency. Find a skill set that makes you unfucking-deniable, get really, really good at it, and go. That's how you build confidence. Now, if it's about body confidence, all of those things, you have to go on that journey. We all, and I'm not going to break down every little journey that we can go through to build confidence, but when we are competent at something, and we appreciate ourselves, and we understand who we are, that's what builds confidence. We don't get to just wake up one day, nobody does, with this, unless they're a liar, okay, with this charisma, with this confidence, with this esteem. Nobody gets that unless they just are entitled. And that's not even confidence. That reeks insecurity. So, okay, whoa, sorry guys. Every time I scroll down a little bit, I lose my spot. So then I can't see all of the comments. I'm really, really sorry that it's taking me so long to answer all of these, but I'm trying to go in as depth and pay really as close of attention as I can to you guys, because this work really does mean a lot to me. Somebody asked where I'm from. I am from the United States. Awesome. Okay. I am not Arab, fairy. Okay. So, and also, so I have actually talked to quite a few people, in France, and they all struggle with confidence, believe it or not. And from your guys' culture, you guys are known to be the most beautiful culture. You guys are known to be people that are constantly incredibly attractive and beautiful. And I think that your guys' beauty standards are actually also very high. So if you are experiencing confidence issues, does that have to do with the beauty standards of where you're from? Moonlight says, avoid offerings, they come with attachment. That's not, I mean, are you talking about what I think that you're talking about, Moonlight? Because if you are, then I can go down that road, but I want to understand, do you mean what I think that you mean? Does this have spiritual connotations is what I'm asking, Moonlight. Somebody said, can I be quiet for a moment? So here's what I'm going to say. Why would you come onto a live? Oh, love that. So my question is, why would you come onto a live where you're not expecting someone to talk? That doesn't make any sense. AC Hiking Thought says, business is easy. It's the personal. So I'm going to go back to what I originally said with the environments and the people that you're talking to. What I would recommend is, so it sounds like you're a business person. You might already be doing this, but go to business networking events. And what I have found with business networking events, and I think that you already do this, but what I have found going to those is they're not really about business, they're about personal relationships and building those, because everyone that's in business is actually like super alone and all of that shit. So what I would recommend is go to those and start finding people that are in resonance with you and do the work and are on the same key. That would be something that would probably be helpful for the overthinking and things like that. And again, if you feel like you're overthinking, you can always reach out and ask people. I think the overthinking can also come from anxious attachment. where when you are around certain people or around certain things, when you're around certain people, you're constantly having to monitor people's perception of you, because you're trying to figure out if you're safe or not in that environment. And then with the business connotations, I'm sure that you pretty regularly get or come across people that are pretty skeezy or are willing to take advantage or manipulate or squander their way in somehow. So that can lead to a lot of frustration and unsafety within personal relationships too. So what I would recommend too is get really, really good at being able to track manipulative patterns. And I'm sure that you are. So take those into your personal life and that understanding there, so that way you can figure out exactly who you should and should not be around. That will help. But I think probably the anxious attachment style will hit harder too. This is funny. You must hate coffee because everything about you is tea. I miss coffee. I cannot drink coffee anymore, but I definitely miss it. Everything about you is tea. I miss coffee. I cannot drink coffee anymore, but I definitely miss it. Okay, am I still here? My phone almost turned off. Awesome, Maverick. Maverick says, well, it's true, man, be jumping out this world a lot more. Okay, I'm not quite sure, but I think I'm missing conversations. Yeah, everyone's situation is very different. So I'm the only thing that I can do is gauge. The only thing I can do is gauge. No. I don't know what it is, but everyone, even people like that I know in real life, they're like, you should be a mom. Like, you need to be no, I don't know how to cook. Hold up. I'm going to take a break from the heavy topics because I know that some of us need it, and I'm going to go back to them in a second. I don't know how to cook. The fuck? Hold up. No. Look at that shit. I don't know how to cook. I'm lucky I'm alive. Like, no. I used to be a good cook, but no. You can absolutely take a jab at something that I said. Please do. Yeah, I am here all day. Everyone is beautiful in their own way, absolutely. What's the dinner today? It's lentils, sweet potato, and zucchini. It's horrible. No, I don't do ASMR. Engineering. Okay, yep. I got you. Yeah, engineering sucks because you're literally behind a computer. And I've noticed that across the board with engineers. You guys really do struggle with your personal lives. There was a client that I had a while back, and he was an engineer, and he was very brilliant, but he and his wife lived very, very alone and isolated and just with each other. Let me think about, I'm going to think on that for a second, AC, so that way I can give you, okay, GFX, I haven't looked at my email, but I will look at my email and see what I can do. But let me think about that, AC hiking. I think the networking thing goes well. I wouldn't recommend dating apps because that can be really frustrating. The other thing that I would recommend is, the only thing that you can do with overthinking is put yourself in situations that force you to overthink until you realize where it comes from. And then eventually it will dissolve. Community events in your region. So go on Facebook and look up groups. Not groups, but events. You can even go on groups and ask people to do something with you that are of similar hobbies. That helps. And then, starting activities that are not solitary if that's something that you're struggling with. But community events can be also really helpful because it forces you to be around people and you can kind of bait them. Bait them is kind of the word that I'm utilizing. You can vet them. You can vet people in these types of social circumstances and in these environments without ever having to really talk to anyone. And you can see and kind of watch how they engage. And once you do that, then you can figure out who you want to approach. That's something that I do. So I will go to events and I will kind of just sit and I will look back and I will make myself known. But I vet people in social circumstances in order to determine if I want to be around them or not. That's also been very, very helpful. Okay, you're married. Got it. Okay. So maybe, so with the married part, love that. Love that. I don't want to dig too much into your personal life because so I'm trying to think about, you're being open and vulnerable. I'm trying to make sure that I can keep everyone's information private and safe while having these emotional conversations. That's the number one responsibility for me and priority before I do anything. So let me think about how I'm going to move on. If you would like to tell me more about your relationships and those things, you can, and then I will answer it from there. But I'm not going to dig. That's going to be a thing. Yeah. Somebody said I can cook, but I don't like it. I got you. So yeah, I would say networking events, community events, bring your wife with you, or, maybe schedule on dating apps. There are double dates that you can go on. So you can be married and in a relationship, and there's like a part in there where you can say that I want to meet other people with my spouse. And then in there, you could also list your criteria. If that's something that you wanted to do, if it was me on my end, I'd be like, hell nah, we can go figure that out somewhere else. Activities at the gym can be useful. Hiking groups, I don't know, it just really depends. I'm not going to answer where I live, you weirdo. Okay, so when you mentioned the relationships issues and struggling in relationships or personal relationships, does that have to do with your significant other? Or does that have to do with outside relationships? Because that determines where I go with that conversation. So if you're struggling inside of your personal relationship, I have advice there. And if you're struggling inside of interpersonal relationships, then I can go in that way. But it really just depends on where that issue is. Awesome. Thank you for being in here from Egypt. Super cool. LMK says, you're fake. I unfollowed. No, I'm not fake, but I'm also not going to respond to nonsense. So you've already been here several times and you already know how I work. So thank you for being here. But why do you think that I'm going to lower my standards and respond to the nonsense that you continually put into my chat? I don't know. That's kind of weird to me, wouldn't it be? We have people in here that are actually getting... Okay, outside relationships. I stick to the advice that I gave. Yeah, we'll stick with that. Try that out and see how that helps. So someone says loneliness and belonging. Love that conversation. That's important. Most of the time, so I'm going to bring it in and talk a little bit about conformity consciousness. Most of the time, people think that conforming inside of relationships and lowering themselves or forcing themselves into circumstances and in environments is what belonging means. Belonging is the feeling that you have when you are with yourself entirely, and then you can go into other rooms not needing to conform to the environment, showing up as fully you. So when you show up fully as you, when that takes place, okay, it is going to be very, very difficult to not change the way that you exist in order to fit into the environment. And of course, there's codes of conduct everywhere you go. But with that being said, belonging is not about the types of... It is not about just being around anyone. Most of the time, people, I've seen this a lot. I've seen this happen with many people. I brought this up in another conversation where I met somebody and they literally felt so lonely and lack of belonging that they would go to a Waffle House every single day. They would go to a bar after Waffle House or whatever, and they would talk to literally anyone and everyone just so that way they didn't have to feel alone. So if you are feeling afraid of loneliness or not belonging somewhere, chances are you don't actually feel like you belong to yourself. Chances are you don't actually feel like you are solidified or stable inside of your own life. So first, it is sitting and being with yourself in solitude and going through that loneliness until you break through that loneliness and are comfortable with yourself. Then you can feel like you belong somewhere. Belonging is not as easy as creating a gym class where everyone gets to do a cool thing together where everything else goes out the window. Belonging is being able to show up fully as you. Tarek, I am not going to do guest until I can figure out how I can, this is going to sound weird. Absolutely, AC, I appreciate you for subscribing. And I also appreciate you for hitting me up and doing all of those things. I'm very, very grateful for you being in these chats. You being here is aiding to this conversation, which is allowing me to grow. So I just want to know, I want you to know that you being open and vulnerable is allowing this to happen. So thank you for being here. Tarek, I am not going to allow anyone to come in as a guest until I can figure out the right way to charge for it, because I have people in mentorship programs and things like that that pay me for my time. So to have you in here specifically as a guest would literally be a live mentorship, and that's not fair. So this is to grow an audience so that way we can grow together, but I can't go against other people. And the people that come in to work with me. I don't know who that is, but thank you. Thank you, Jose. Or, no, it's not Jose. Jesus. Sorry, that was definitely white girl of me. I'm in my late 20s. Thank you, Jesus. I appreciate you. I don't know what that means, Aid. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Weird. Some of the shit you guys say is just so weird. I'm trying to find the comments that are directed. So I don't know how to say your name, so I'm going to call you G. Would you protect your peace, your choice, if your parents was against on it about love? Okay. If I'm trying, I'm not dogging your grammar, but I'm having to rewire my brain a little bit so that way I can, I have to do a little zzz to my brain so that way I can digest the grammar really fast, because I'm not digging on you, but it is something that my brain has to calibrate to. Okay. And I'm not sure what your culture is, but if your parents, granted they have any sense, if your parents are against a relationship, chances are you should probably listen. There might be a reason. And not all parents are that smart. Mine were not. In some ways. If your parents are against a relationship, you should probably listen. And the reason why is because they have to live with each other. And they know exactly what you're about to go into. That was not funny. Okay. So what I would recommend is, if your parents are against you on something, maybe try to figure out why they're against it. It might make sense. The other thing is, you know your situation. But I've seen domestic violence enough times to know that likely that's not a good thing. What happens with a relationship? Is it going to be stronger? Jesus, I don't know what that means, so I'm going to need you to elaborate on your question. Chili is not currently on my list, but it might be at some point. Okay, so it's saying I have like 27 messages or something, and then okay, hold up. So someone is, I see that your sister is Muslim. Okay. Sorry, there's people that are spamming me for no reason, and then at the same time I'm trying to figure out the messages that are important. Carol says, the more I try to get used to being alone, it is hard to return to socializing. So it's about balance. It's about balance. You shouldn't just stay alone. You shouldn't just isolate yourself. You shouldn't just go hermit mode. It's about what works for you. So if you know that it's difficult for you to return to socializing, then create space to socialize. Create space to be around people. And then go be alone when it's time to do that. It's about being comfortable in both positions and being comfortable with yourself. So if you know that you have a hard time returning to socializing, and I promise you, there's going to be a time when you get very, very used to being alone and you're going to crash out because you need connection in order to feel whole. We all do. So you can just play with it. See how long you can be alone and happy versus being out and about. Sometimes socializing and doesn't have to be where you're constantly around people and all of that stuff. It can literally be going to a coffee shop and being in the presence of other people without talking to them. I do that quite often. So it's about what works for you and how you navigate that. So how do you sit with yourself without losing interest in socializing? You get better people to be around. You get people that are very interesting, that you appreciate, and you have to vet people. That's really what it is. You have to look at them. You have to look at how they interact. You have to look at their interest, all of those things. And the way that I look at socializing is finding likeness within all people, finding likeness, aspects of myself within everyone. When you can do that, seeing people as they are becomes much easier. Because when you realize that everyone has an aspect of you inside of them and there's common ground or commonality within everyone, then socializing becomes easier. But it also sounds like if you really struggle to lose interest in socializing, that you're probably needing depth. So find the artistic people if you're into art. Find the people that like to read if you're into that. Find the people that are interested in the things that you're interested in so you don't lose interest in socializing. I am somebody that will be alone until I am around people that are forward moving, that are positive, that care about whatever it is. Those are the only, I don't have a lot of rules. I have a ton of rules actually. But as far as, okay, I have to do this puzzle and I don't know why. But if you're losing interest in socializing, it's because the people are not interesting enough to you. Or you feel somehow inadequate about yourself in some way, or the attachment style that you have doesn't allow socializing. So just find people that are interesting. And with the internet and everything else, it's exhausting. Socializing is horrible because everyone acts like they're a robot. I really don't care, sir, about what you think my voice rating is. Like, I wish you could make me care. Okay, I'm trying to find comments. I'm sorry. I get like 20 comments, and then I get 4, and then it's a whole thing. Okay. Hello, welcome, and thank you for being here. Why do we have sad emojis? Okay, so you do that. So what, Carol, can I have you direct me in the way that I can actually help you break this down? So I'm going to, if you want to, or if you feel comfortable elaborating on what that looks like and what that means, I would love to help you break that down. But so far it sounds like you're already doing everything that I'm mentioning. So if you can give me more information that will help me gauge. Maverick says, I think being able to reflect is a good sign of leadership. Yeah, you can't lead anything if you can't reflect. You're screwed. You're screwed. How the hell are you going to lead anything if you can't even think about something? Oh, love that. I struggle with interacting with people I want and staying with people that want me, but I don't want them. So that is an interesting thought. I want to think about that one for a second before I move on. So trust that I will get to all of your guys' questions. I have 18 messages and I don't know how many of them are spam. I'm going to think about Carol's question because it's important. And then I will get to all of the other ones. Do not worry. So what I'm getting off of this is that perhaps your internal compass or your internal narrative is something that potentially advances faster than your outside world. So you might be somebody that is potentially, to some degree, solipsistic. And what I mean by that is lives on the inside. That doesn't mean that you think, by solipsistic, I do not mean that you think that your thoughts are the only ones that exist. But what I do think, based off of this, is that there is a potential for a small amount of solipsism where your internal process is much, much faster in speed than your outside process. So what might be taking place is that your internal space is ahead of your external space. And unfortunately, we attract people in our external space, rather that be finances, what it is that we have physically achieved, all of that stuff, more so than we do what is on the inside. So what I would recommend is during your alone time, focus on growing your physical reality. And by your physical reality, I mean growing your finances, growing your wealth, going to the gym, whatever it is, growing the thing that you care the most about. And then as that takes place, return back into the environments and you will then be able to receive accurate reflections. So that's the thing, is we attract people where we are, not where we are headed. Not what is on the inside, where we physically are. So if you are not around people that are not aligned, and those are the people that you're attracting, it is because what you have currently accomplished physically does not match what you have happening inside of your head. So those two things have to conjoin. And the way that you do that is you stop reflecting and you stop focusing so much about the internal dynamics that you have, and you start focus on creating something physically. Whatever that means and whatever that looks like. That, over time, will fix your problem. It could take a few months, 6 months, 8 months, up to a year in order to really gauge that. That is what I recommend. Let's see. I'm trying. There's a lot of no. Okay. You said that's because they are robots. Yep. Non-playing characters. Oh, shoot. That was hilarious. Oh, that's actually a really good insight. So now that you know that you feel suffocated and overwhelmed by people who love you, now that's your opportunity to learn how to be vulnerable. That's your, yeah, in my brain, I'm like, oh, fuck. I know what that feeling is like. Oh, fuck that. She's right. Fuck. I have to be vulnerable. Yeah, so you have to learn how to be vulnerable. You have to learn how to open up. And that will require you realizing that at any time you can return back to yourself. But the hard thing is when we attach to someone and we love someone back, then all cards are open. So the way to remember that you're good in that is, one, you always will have yourself to return to. Number two, how beautiful is it that you took a chance on loving someone else and you gave yourself that experience? It's going to cause grief, maybe not. Believe it or not, there's lots of people who can't. So who is the philosopher? Descartes, maybe? Or Immanuel Kant. One of those two philosophers, and they both talk about this. One of them, is it self-incured tutelage? Is that the one? That has to be Immanuel Kant. So Immanuel Kant says this, that people do self-incured tutelage. And what that means is it is self-incured incompetency. Everyone, and the belief is that everyone is capable of enlightenment. Not everyone is capable of not choosing enlightenment. So, and I believe Descartes talks about this too, but it's about utilizing your brain and utilizing your mind, and everybody is capable of reflection, but sometimes people choose the path of nothing. So everyone is capable of such. It is a choice. Ooh, love this question. Maybe there's a difference between reflecting and projecting. So what is that? I wish my brain would open this up. I might have to look it up. Actually, I'm going to, because I have access to this right here. What is it under? I have to go through all of the files on my computer in my head before I can figure out exactly where this is, because there is a scientific thing about projection, and I teach it in my courses, but I cannot remember which one it is. Okay. Yes, it is this. Measurability lessons. All right. Give me a second. What? Where is this thing? Okay. Whoa. I'm really glad that you brought this up, because none of the documents that I actually need inside of this specific thing are here. When my psyche opens, perhaps? Is this the one? Okay, the specific model that I need is not in here. Okay, yeah, okay. It is. Give me a second. Okay, so when we talk about what this is called is self-relevance networks, and this goes back into the conversation that we were having earlier. But what this looks like is the amygdala evaluates every single thing, as in, what does this mean about me? What does this mean about me? What does this mean about me? And when people are incapable of reflecting, asking, and they choose to shut down their amygdala, and usually this is caused by some sort of trauma. It is our decision, because of all, I mean, maybe it's not our decision. I think that people have to choose to make a decision. But the reality is, I'm trying to, let me not break this down scientifically. Let me break this down in a different way. So if we imagine our brains as a projector, okay, think about our eyes and the way that we see outwardly. We are all projectors, and everything is filtered through this is where I wanted to go. Everything is filtered through the lens of our own perception. This does not matter how advanced we are. This does not matter how conscious we are, how awake we are, whatever. Everything is always going to be filtered through our own perception. So when we can see people accurately, we are still perceiving them, okay? So when we reflect, that is based off of the feedback loops that we were constantly being given. When we project, that is our own ideologies and our perceptions moving outwards. Projection and projecting are very, very different. And what I mean by this is when we are projecting, so when we are projecting onto people our own negative ideologies about ourselves, we are displacing our own behavior patterns onto something else so we do not have to take accountability. This is why reflection is important. It is because it requires us to take accountability over the things that we're moving out. So when we realize that reflection and projection are things that come hand in hand, these are really just very, very simple hippocampal pulls and ways to interpret. So there isn't a different, these are just simply mechanisms that happen within our brain, and I think it's top-down processing, if I remember correctly. Is it? It has to be top-down processing. So when we realize that specifically, that everything is simply just projection and reflection, then we realize that we just simply have to take ownership of the things that we're pushing outwards, and we allow people to be. So when we allow people to be, that prevents projecting onto them our own thoughts, our own ideas, and then only do we proceed, or only do we provide insight or input based off of somebody asking, okay? Allowing people to be exactly as they are and putting nothing on anyone, but what is yours and how you feel about something, and creating boundaries based off of your own experiences is the only way to prevent projection. Everyone is a projector. Everyone does it. Society has taken projection into this whole thing that you're a fucking horrible and evil person if you do it. Everyone does it, and everyone has the ability to reflect. So with that, the only way to prevent yourself from doing this projection is by allowing people to just be, leaving people alone, and realizing that everything that everyone else does around you is innately something within you already. And again, with reason. Happy birthday to your dad. Thank you for being here. Carol, okay, I'm glad that that was something that hit you. I don't know, H. Whoa, I have 60 messages. And I lost a lot of people because I wasn't listening or paying attention. And some of these people are just spamming at this point, and they're going to get kicked off. Okay, hold on. Do you pay taxes for the property above your eyebrows? I have a big ass forehead. You don't even have to tell me twice. I don't know. That was good. I appreciate that. That was funny as hell. So Carol, really, I don't think that you hate being vulnerable. You hate the outcomes of people taking advantage of you and hurting you. That's all that is. Sorry, I'm trying to find messages that are relevant. I'm not going to answer about the Egypt match. I don't care about soccer or football or whatever you guys call it. But yeah, it's not about being vulnerable. It's about the cost and the consequences of you choosing to do so. The rare times that I'm vulnerable, the people that want me even seem to stop. So again, it goes back to finding people that are associated with your depth and can meet you at your depth. And those people will come. But it is just truly being able to gauge, and this is something that takes time to develop, if people are capable of holding that vulnerability or not. Most people love to live above the surface. They don't want depth. So with that, and again, the thing is if you subconsciously do not like the people that you're around, Carol, if you do not like those people and you don't want them, and then you're vulnerable, they feel some sort of disconnection. So again, you're just not being vulnerable with the right people. Mr. B called me, said Jezebel. I actually have Jezebel wood or something around, so that maybe that comment just cracked me up. The person that talked about my eyebrows, that one was just hilarious. Um, so Kian says your comment falls under a different case. I didn't see your comment, so I don't know. Okay, I think, okay, this person was, whatever. Okay, somebody is just, how many of these spams are we getting? Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize that he was doing that because I was focused on something else. All right, he's gone now. Sorry about that, everyone. Yes, he is blocked now. I am deeply apologetic for that guy, because how horrible would it be to have to be him? Sorry, that was fucked up, but honestly. Maverick, I'm gonna have to look up that word. Oh, Lord Apollo came in. Different account, same guy. I'm gonna have to look up a different word. I'm gonna have to look up what you do, because I have no idea what the shit that is. Oh, that's hilarious. We were talking about vision. Okay, cool. You're an eye doctor. Love that. How do you like your job? My pupils are telling you a lot? That's fun. I just went through a psychotic break a few days ago, so now I'm good. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe. Okay. So I've been on here for a long time. I have been on here for a long time. I've talked a lot. I do have services, okay? So this has probably been I can tell that this has been beneficial for the people that are here. I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. Check out Internal Dominion. It is a free masterclass over on my YouTube. It's still Unity Matrix. My leg fell asleep. Like it's not working right now. Oh, I know. I'm allowed to feel however I feel. I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in if I needed. I'm not gonna actually be an asshole. Actually, I'm gonna say it. I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in if I needed pep talks every day. But I appreciate the feedback. But yes, everything that just came out of my mouth was also assholey. So with that being said, I am going to be wrapping up. Somebody's going through their medical entrance exam in 9 days. Congratulations. I'm sorry that you don't feel ready, but you're gonna figure it out. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and wrap this up. I can tell that this was very useful for the people that were engaged and listening. So definitely go check out Internal Dominion. It is a so just follow me, because I'm trying to go live every single day until the 14 days is up. So definitely follow, definitely subscribe to YouTube. Go check out Internal Dominion over on YouTube. It is a free masterclass that goes into some of the principles that I teach. And I also have services at reddiamondassociation.com. You can find my website in the link if you guys are interested in that. I do one-on-one mentorships and things. Because I know that there've been a lot of people in here, so chances are you guys just didn't feel comfortable. I do confidentiality waivers, so that way you know that your information is protected and all of that good shit. So with that being said, I'm super, super grateful for all of you. I appreciate you guys for being here. I'm so grateful for this conversation and how well it went tonight and all of the positive feedback. We are finally kind of breaking and making way for that. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'm super, super grateful to have you guys here. These things do not work unless people give the feedback and ask the questions. So this live would not have been possible for the people that didn't engage. So I am genuinely just super grateful for that. And I will see you guys Yeah, cognitive dissonance is the perfect username for you. But yeah, I'm super grateful for you guys. Definitely follow, do the things. Adios. We will see you tomorrow.